And you'll be surprised to know that because Zoroastrians have lost a lot of their scriptures because of the vagaries of time, we took the help of Sanskrit to rebuild the Avesta grammar. In daily Zoroastrian prayer, what we call the Kasti prayer, in the prayers they say Areman, Devan, Dhrujan, Jaduvan, Darvandan, Kikan, Karafan. If I translate, all sorts of negativities, including black magicians, sorcerers, witches. Even in the present times that the evil forces, the demonic forces are there. But your values, your virtues, your prayers, your rituals, your divine institutions, your mindset, all these are very, very powerful tools to fight against them.
We've covered a lot of Indian history on the Ranveer Show. We've covered Indian culture, Hindu culture on the Ranveer Show. But 2023 is all about inter-religious studies. We're going to be doing multiple episodes on multiple religions. And I feel it's very important as Indians for us to know about Zoroastrian history as well. Of course, I know the Parsis, the Iranis, the Zoroastrians will be watching this episode. Please share it as far and as wide as is possible. But whether you're a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Sikh, a Buddhist, a Jain person, please watch this episode till the end. I feel your understanding of your own religion and your own history as a human being can be better understood when you get historical perspective, cultural perspective from another religion. Very, very fresh episode with this PhD scholar. He is Dr. Ramiyar Karanjia, one of the foremost spokespeople on Zoroastrianism. And he's given us the story, the historical story of the Parsis, along with the origins of Zoroastrianism in this epic episode. Trust me, you're not ready for some of this. For example, let me talk about the Younger Dryas impact theory very briefly. Brought it up in a bunch of our episodes with Abhijit Chavda, sir. They say that about 12,000 years ago, there was a cosmic event which destroyed most of human civilization. And that is a very key part of the Zoroastrian story as well. This is the true beauty of religion. That if you truly study it, you'll get to know some aspects of geological history as well. In recent times, the Younger Dryas impact theory has been proved thanks to the work of people like Randall Carlson. I am excited to bring you this episode because it was extremely enlightening for me. For more episodes just like this, make sure you follow us on Spotify. We're Spotify exclusive. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This is Ramiyar Karanjia teaching us about Zoroastrians and Zoroastrianism on the Ranveer Show. Ramiyar Karanjia, sir, this whole year for us is about inter-religious studies on the Ranveer Show. So welcome firstly. And you're going to teach us about Zoroastrianism today. Where do we even begin this conversation? Let's just begin with a how are you?
I'm very good, and thanks a lot for having me at your show. It would be a pleasure talking with you. I've been following your podcasts, and they are really very interesting. And I hope to contribute somewhere regarding the Zoroastrian religion in the same line.
I'm glad, sir. I grew up in near Dadar Parsi colony, so I've grown up with a lot of Parsi friends. I have some inputs on Zoroastrianism. I've understood certain aspects of it. There's two things that stand out for me. The first is the fact that it's a classical religion of this earth. And I believe along with the Indian religions, the religions that originated out of India, Zoroastrianism is probably one of the only classical religions of this earth that's still existing today. So any religion that's carried on for so long always contains nuggets of actual human history. The second element that really stands out to me, because I'm a podcaster, is the supernatural element. There's angels, there's demons, there's supernatural stories, there's magic in Zoroastrianism. So these are the two domains we're going to tackle today. Am I right in saying these things?
Perfectly right. More than classical, I would say that yes, of course it is classical, but it has been internationally recognized as the world's oldest religion.
Okay.
And it's not just me being a Zoroastrian saying it, because you generally feel that, yeah, because somebody belongs to a religion, they would say something good only about the religion. It's not so. International scholars have accepted that it is the oldest revealed religion in the world, and other Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam have taken a lot from Zoroastrian religion. That is point number one. Another thing about angels and demons, of course, Zoroastrianism has a plethora of angels, and of course, wherever there are angels, there will be demons. So there will be a plethora of them. And in fact, the very definition of Zoroastrian religion, like if you ask a Zoroastrian, what is the definition of your religion? So most people, 99% may say, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. I'm sure you also must have come across that definition.
And a very strong sense of God. Like there's a very strong sense of a higher power. Like I've seen this with every Parsi I know. The Parsi, if you know a lot of Parsis and Iranis, very strong sense of ethics and strong sense of God. This is an outsider's perspective.
Yes, because in Zoroastrianism, beautifully, God and ethics, divine beings and virtues have been blended together. So if you take care of a creation, you are also taking care of a virtue and an angel presiding over that creation. So we also say that Zoroastrian religion is the first ecologically conscious religion, because every creation has a divine being presiding over it. So one has to take care of the creation to see that the divine being presiding over it is not affronted in any way.
Yeah. So this whole deep dive into the world's ancient religions began with a conversation I had with someone called Mohsin Raza Khan, and he spoke about geography having a big role to play on where religions originate. So let's actually go into the story of Zoroastrianism. Where exactly did it originate and from what did it originate? Because before a religion begins, there has to be some source. So is that a source of beliefs, etc., etc.? And please correct me if I'm wrong, but the one thing I've understood about Zoroastrianism from all my Parsi friends, honestly, is that it is in many ways like a sister religion to Hinduism also. Like they're both sister religions, very similar, especially when you look at the old Vedic beliefs. There was too many parallels. My reading here is because it's sort of geographically similar locations. It's this whole subcontinent and Central Asia stretch. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, a lot. I would say that even before the word religion may have come about, in the hoary past, we are talking of Indo-Aryans. We all studied, I remember I studied it in my 5th standard, that there was a group of people called the Aryans, much before any religion came about. And according to our religious tradition, it says that they were staying very much in the north, almost near to the North Pole. And this group of people, whom we call Aryans, in the Avesta language, it is called Aryana. Aryana literally means belonging to a noble race. So this group had 3 types of people, geographically 3 types of people: the Europeans, the Indians, and the Iranians. And they were all living together peacefully, even perhaps before the Great Deluge came along.
The Great Deluge.
Yeah, which happened 12,000 years ago.
Oh, okay. I'm stopping you in 2 places here. Okay. The first place is this whole Aryan Invasion Theory. It's greeted with a lot of anger online nowadays. Like a lot of Indians get very offended with like the Aryan Invasion Theory. So we've had archaeologists on the show where I've asked them about the Aryan Invasion Theory. And Disha Aluwala, she's a very reputed Indian archaeologist. She said that now it's proven that India, like from Punjab till Tamil Nadu, was not invaded by the Aryans. This is archaeologically proven. So I think when you're talking about Aryans, you're talking about another kind of story. I'm just saying that for the audience here.
Yeah.
You're talking much more about Zoroastrianism and the region near Iran. There was some element of a group of people called the Aryans there. Maybe the British actually used that theory and pasted this Aryan invasion theory upon the Indus Valley civilization. I don't know. That's my conjecture, but I want to know more. Secondly, this 12,000 year thing, this has also been brought up on the show. Apparently, around 10,000 BC, which is about 12,000 years ago, there was a very big cosmic event, almost apocalyptic. It's called the Younger Dryas Impact. And this has been brought up a lot on American podcasts. Again, a lot of international archaeologists are not completely convinced about it. I totally am convinced. I believe that the Younger Dryas impact happened and it destroyed human civilization as we know it, and we had to rebuild from there. Now I'll let you continue. So I'm sorry, it's very important for me as a podcaster to give this context to the listeners.
Yeah.
Now go on.
Very true. See, as an academician, I know one thing, that two theories can coexist. And I am not of the opinion that if my theory is there, the other cannot coexist. So I am very open to it, and I know that this second school of thought is there. But there is so much evidence about the first school of thought also. And the moment you said that there are similarities between the Zoroastrians and the Hindus, one of the main reasons people believe that it is because Zoroastrians came to India from Iran. That is why the similarities are there. And I say, no, sir, that's not true. Because Zoroastrianism, what we call today Zoroastrians and what we today call the Hindus, they have been together since 12,000 and more than 12,000 years. They've never been separated in a way if you go to see.
Yeah.
I saw a Netflix documentary about this, what you just mentioned, about this apocalyptic event. And I just want to draw your attention to the fact that in that documentary, even the Avestan concept is mentioned. The person who was present from a Zoroastrian viewpoint, from an Avestan viewpoint.
What is Avestan?
Okay, so Avesta is the language in which all the text of the Zoroastrians are written. So Avesta goes back before Zoroastrian religion even started. It was the language, as you rightly pointed out, the sister language to Sanskrit.
Okay.
So the name of that language is Avesta.
What's the script like?
The script is totally different. You may not have seen it anywhere because for thousands of years, this language did not have a script. The script developed only about 1,500 years back. And of course, one similarity to Persian, etc., is that it is written from right to left. But apart from that, it is quite different because there are 50 letters in the alphabet. And each letter is written separately. It's not conjoined as in Arabic and Persian or even Pahlavi. Pahlavi is another Iranian language. So that's why we call Sanskrit and Avesta sister languages. And you'll be surprised to know that because Zoroastrians have lost a lot of their scriptures because of the vagaries of time, we took the help of Sanskrit to rebuild the Avesta grammar.
How? Like, as in, how did this work?
Because Avestan texts were there, manuscripts were there, but the grammar had been lost. The text about grammar had been lost. Now, when European scholars came to India about 300 years ago, they realized that these two languages are very similar, Sanskrit and Avesta. So they learned the Avesta in that traditional manner, not the scientific philological manner, but a traditional manner, took many manuscripts with them back to France, and there constructed the Avestan grammar with the help of Sanskrit grammar. So today, if somebody studies Avesta grammar, there are many Sanskrit terminologies in this, like guna, vriddhi, sandhi, antargata. And people might be thinking that what is this Sanskrit terminology doing in Avesta grammar? But it is because Avesta grammar has been reconstructed from Sanskrit. So close they are. I'll just give you an example. Like one of our sacred chants is called the Yatha Ahu Vairyo, which is also known as Aunavar. It is like our Gayatri mantra. So,
You want to say it?
I don't mind chanting it.
Please go for it.
But just before I chant it, I'll tell you that in Avesta, it is Yatha Ahu Vairyo Atharatush. If you translate that in Sanskrit, just to show you how close it is, it will be Yatha Asu Varyo Atharatus. So close these two languages are.
Now I'll let you carry on to the story, sir. Where do Zoroastrians believe that Zoroastrianism began? Like, do you want to start at the deluge? Like, that's one thing you mentioned. Do you want to start at that 12,000 year mark, or do you want to go further back? It's up to you.
Further back.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
But I'll want to hear about the deluge as well.
Yeah. So our ancient Iranian history, I've always maintained that to understand religion, you have to know the history. Because ancient history and ancient religion are always conjoined. So you have to go together. So our ancient Iranian history is, for convenience sake, has been divided into 5 groups or 5 dynasties, what we call. And we are going to the first dynasty, which is called Peshdad. Now, the very word Peshdad means the first lawgivers. Pesh means first and Dad means law. Here we are starting with the beginning of civilization, when there was nothing. Agriculture was not there. How to wear clothes was not there. Skills and trades were not there. We are going right from at the beginning, when people were in a nomadic stage, hunters, gatherers. So at that time, we are told in our epic. Let me tell you about this. We Zoroastrians have our own epic, like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. We have it. We call it the Shahnameh. And the Shahnameh is a complete history and some part of religion also in it. So the Shahnameh has preserved this. Some people call it mythology. I call it ancient history, which is unrecorded.
Yeah. Until now. Go on.
So the very first king in, you can say, the whole world was a person called Gayomard. Gayomard means mortal man. Every word has beautiful meanings. Gayomard means a mortal man. And so he told the people, you settle down. There's no need to be nomadic. You settle down and start agriculture and farming. And that gave them time to sit and think, what we call reflect. Up till now, there was survival instinct was supreme. But later, as things progressed and as they got a chance to settle down, they started thinking. And one of the first thoughts that King Gayomard had was, we are told, that he got a divine message from a divine being saying that, tell your people that there is only one God in the world. And the name of that God is Mazda. All others work under him. The nature works under him. Other divine beings work under him. There's just one God, Mazda. And the meaning of Mazda means all-knowing, omniscient. So tell people to connect to him, and then everything will follow. So that is how, before, we are talking of thousands of years before Zarathustra came along. Huh? We are still a lot behind.
I also just want to add one nugget here. You said something about how you considered history, some people might consider it stories. The truth about history is that in the modern day, many archaeologists only considered history when there's evidence. But the truth about evidence is that evidence gets destroyed over time. Only stones survive, which is why the pyramids have survived. And then if those stones are destroyed by invasions or by war, you can't help it.
Very true. Very true.
But that doesn't discount the fact that human history is possibly way older than we're told. Lots of traditional archaeologists, historians will like to believe that human history began with the 4 great civilizations: Egyptian, Indus Valley, Mesopotamian, and Chinese, I think, is the 4th one, which people talk about. I strongly believe that it began way back, lakhs of years ago. Now go on, sir.
I totally and 100% agree with you. You know, the amusing thing, archaeologists are always honest, of course. They keep pushing back the dates as and when they get more and more archaeological evidences.
I think because the way archaeology works is you're digging into the earth, and the deeper you dig, the
more
older
you get.
History gets.
And as you rightly pointed out, many evidences do get destroyed.
Yeah.
Only stone and things like that survive. So that's why. But if this was not history, if this was not true, then it would not be consistent at several places. Like the Great Deluge, it has been mentioned by almost all the civilizations and the great religions.
Yeah.
So how can it be so consistent if it never happened?
100%.
If it was just a story?
I also believe now there's scientific evidence found about the Great Deluge. And you all should look into the Younger Dryas impact theory. Look into the work of someone called Randall Carlson and see the degree to which he's gone to find scientific evidence that this actually happened about 12,000 years ago. What happened, the context is that the Earth was hit by either one or multiple comets, which destroyed civilization. Comets work in the same way as a bullet would work on a human being. Something huge of cosmic scale, many kilometers spread across, hitting the Earth with the speed of a bullet, it'll actually create the impact that atom bombs would create. Destroy civilizations. Man, whoever survived, human beings would have to begin from a very rudimentary place. That's where I believe human beings started building out again. They started creating art again. But possibly prior to 12,000 BC, the human story had come very far. We had possibly discovered a science of that time. We discovered technologies of that time. And there is evidence to back this. We had an archaeologist on the show who studies pyramids who says that a battery was found in the pyramids, an ancient battery. Now, what could it have been powering? So this is one of the technological mysteries. And as a podcast, I have to give context here because this is how the questions are going to be, even about the Zoroastrian story. So now I'll let you continue.
Yeah. So thank you for those inputs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very true because the stories are so much connected, and about this comet hitting, and now now it's almost established thing, like almost scientifically established. Even carbon dating has showed that it did happen. So once again, going back to that first king who was also regarded as the first Sociant. In Zoroastrian religion, a Sociant is a mini prophet sort of a thing, who is inspired by God. And that God was Mazda. So from Gayomard started the belief of believing in one God. But at that point of time, there were people who did not follow him. And they, in our tradition, have been called Devyasnis, perhaps because they worshipped several gods, and the Hindu part of the Aryan, they call their gods Dev. So that's why we call them Devyasnis. So it was just the two belief systems existed in those times, Mazdayasni and Devyasni.
I'll tell you, man, and I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you, sir, but I have to give context to a lot of the listeners who are listening for the first time. This has come up a lot when we're talking about ancient Hindu history, where Zoroastrianism has come up a lot on the show. It's come up that it's a sister religion. And what's also come up is in Hindu stories, there is Dev and Asura. And in Parsi stories, there's Ahura and Daiva. It was possibly just two sister clans talking about each other. And in both the stories, I mean, it's like if you are India, you look at Pakistan as the villain. If you're Pakistan, you look at India as the villain. But in truth, human beings are grey. There's good and bad on both sides. So that's all I wanted to say here.
Yeah, we are not enemies.
Yeah.
I never consider them as enemies. Even two brothers have differences of opinion.
Yeah.
So it is perfectly all right. But this is what I call internal evidence to show that yes, they were together and then they separated because of some schism which happened at some particular time when Prophet Zarathustra came about, because that schism took part later on.
What do you mean by schism?
Sort of a rift.
Okay.
A rift between the two groups. So the first group, which we today call Europeans, they separated first while the southward migrations were taking place. Now, how do we know that they were together? By their languages. So several European languages, ancient European languages like Germanic, Saxonic, etc., and Sanskrit and Avesta have similar roots. So that was why these languages were studied and taught in Europe, because even Latin, because they have so common roots and bases and etymology, etc. So this languages are one of the biggest proofs to show this theory that they were living together and they had one common language at that time, which philologists call the mother language. Mother to Avesta, Sanskrit and European languages, ancient European languages, which unfortunately no longer exist. But because of the similarity of these three languages, they say that it did exist. Otherwise, how come these three languages of now people who are so scattered are same?
Yeah. May I just mention, I'm like enjoying this conversation a lot, sir. I strongly feel that the Indian internet, and it's also thanks to people like myself, it's too saturated with only Indian cultural history. And it's very important to understand the world's cultural history as well, to probably understand Indian cultural history even deeper. I know for a fact that there's going to be people who'll get offended even with this podcast, but you can't help it. It's the nature of the times we live in. People do get offended. My job as a podcaster is to relay information from all aspects. Please go on, sir, with the story.
Yeah, even I am enjoying it, by the way. And my only message to those people who may get offended is please don't get offended, because in academic world, we have to learn to coexist.
Yeah.
And only if there are different views can knowledge get further. And just because somebody has different views does not mean that I am your enemy.
Yeah.
It just means that we are thinking differently.
Yeah. Anyway, go on with the stories.
So then there were several other kings. I'm not going into their details.
Sure.
But the fourth king after that was a king who brought in a golden era in ancient Iran, and he was King Jamshed, who is known as Imak Shaita in the Avesta. And he was the person in whose reign the great deluge happened. So it's extensively mentioned in our Avestan text.
So when you say fourth king, they're not. You don't mean like the fourth son, right? Like they weren't father, son, father, son. These are like 5 important kings in total.
Yeah, not all were father and sons, because every time there was not a direct descent. So like the first king's grandson became the second king.
Okay. Got it.
In that way. Then the nephew became the king. But they had one thing in ancient Iran, I think, among kings was that you need a continuous link to maintain a dynasty. So there was a continuous link, but may not be always father to son.
Okay, got it. So the first king, roughly what date would you attribute to him?
So I would say it was about, when we say deluge was about 12,000 years back, it must be not more than 12,500 years.
Okay.
Very close to the deluge.
Okay. And that's roughly the phase where humans went from being nomadic to actually settling down. Also.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Because in the Shahnameh, we are also told that several arts, crafts, domesticating animal, agriculture, irrigation, all those things started developing during that time.
Got it.
So now we are talking about the king called Imak Shaita or Jamshed. And we are once again told that a divine being brought a message to him that a great deluge, or you can say it may be even a rain resulting in a deluge, or a snow, whatever, which would result in a deluge, would happen. And he was told to save his people and take them to a safe place. It's like very much like the story of Noah or Manu or Gilgamesh in other civilizations. So he built special enclosures, which are also described in our text, Avestan text. Circular.
Apocalyptic bunkers.
Yes, apocalyptic bunkers, exactly circular. And such have been found recently, like in Turkey, etc. places. And when I had gone to Russia, there is a place called Arkaim, which also has some similar settlements. And the archaeologists, why did they name the place Arkaim? Because they connected with this place with this Ima. Ima is King Jamshed. So Arka means settlement. And Im means, so even today if you Google Arkaim, you will be taken back to this place in Russia.
But when you're talking about King Jamshed and these kings, it was primarily around the geographical region of modern day Iran?
No.
Then?
It's north of Central Asia.
Which would be modern day Russia.
Yeah, Russia, north of Russia, you could say. One surprising thing, once again mentioned in our Avestan text, is that we were living almost near to the North Pole. And then you would ask, it would be very cold at that time. How can one stay very near the North Pole? But then we are told that the Earth's axis was tilted after the deluge, making it colder. Before that, it was not that bad. The severe winters that we know about in the extreme north were not there before this great deluge took place. That's why people were still staying to quite like north of northern Russia, you can say.
Yeah. A lot of the Hindu scholars we had in the show have also mentioned the same thing about ancient rishis actually meditating near the North Pole. This was in Dr. Vineet Agarwal's episode. Now go on, sir.
Even Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he was a great Indologist, our freedom fighter. He has also... I think his book Arctic Home in the Vedas. In that book, he has written about this. So this Arkaim, or what is called in Avesta the Vara of Ima, was constructed, which gave refuge to people during this great flood, because it was constructed at a higher altitude and in such a way that natural sunlight and natural air would be able to get into the houses.
What is said specifically about the deluge? They also say that a comet had hit Earth, or it was just sort of an apocalyptic event?
No, not much is said about how it happened.
Okay.
What is said is what happened afterwards.
Got it. Okay. according to the younger dryas impact theory, I think the impact happened near Mexico somewhere. But the overall effect of the impact was on all of the earth, up till Asia. So probably the earth on Asia's side saw the impact through smog clouds, through tidal waves. It was still apocalyptic.
Yes, the effect was different at different places. And as far as I know, it happened simultaneously at different places. Like it was not just at one place.
Yeah.
It happened simultaneously. It may be a debris or something, cosmic debris or something.
Yeah. Go on.
So King Jamshed then once again became the king after the deluge was settled. Like people hailed him as the savior. And the festival that we today celebrate on 21st of March, and not only Zoroastrians, but many other Central Asian countries also do celebrate this festival of spring. And we call it Jamshedi Nowroz. That festival is celebrated because King Jamshed saved the world from the great deluge and started a new life, a new settlement, a new world sort of, And even today people celebrate it as the onset of spring when the sun enters Aries, the sun enters the constellation of Aries, we are told, on 21st of March. So that's how it is.
What's said about how long the deluge period was?
Like it must have been long because we are told that Ima or Jamshed had a very long reign.
Okay.
But we are not told that how much of that reign was under the deluge and how much afterwards it. But we are told that, as I told you, his reign became the golden age in ancient Iranian history. And people were so happy. Like today we say that Rishi, like even in the autobiography of a yogi, it has been mentioned that some rishis live up to 700, 800 years. So we are told that Ima also lived up to 800, 900 years because he was also a person perhaps of that spiritual caliber.
Correct.
And we are told that in his time there was no disease. Death came after very long intervals. Father and son, when they walked, would look alike. And such things are mentioned. So that means that people were very happy, the climate was very good. And the population increased so much because of this, that thrice during the reign of King Jamshed, there were southwards migrations because it was not possible to accommodate people. And the winters were also now becoming more and more severe. So that's why a southwards migration became necessary. And that's why we started coming towards what we today call Northern Russia or Central Asia, northern part of Central Asia. That is the location that now this second Aryan Invasion. The term Aryan Invasion is also used in the Vedas and the later Sanskrit text, and it is called Aryavrata. Aryavrata and Aryan Invasion are two similar terms in Sanskrit and Avesta, and they means the Aryan expanse. So even they use the term Aryavrat.
Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. This might be from the B.R. Chopra Mahabharat. Isn't Aryavrat a name for like Bharatvarsh, like India in general? I mean, that was my context. Now I'm understanding that maybe Aryavrat must have been the entire expanse of subcontinent up till maybe the Gulf also. You never know. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you are very correct because we generally think of history as in today's terms. Like when I mention Iran, it is not the Iran of present times. The concept of Iran has kept changing. And originally, an interesting aspect, whenever they migrated and settled down, especially near rivers, they gave the same names to the places. Perhaps they were attached to those places. Perhaps these places had some special meaning to them, the names of the places. So that's why in Avesta, at least we know that there were 3 Aryan Invasions. So when we talk of Aryan Invasion or Aryavrat, it's not one place. It's a place which even this lot started migrating southwards. So that place kept changing. So it's not that the present thing is wrong, but it is that there were other Aryavrats also perhaps in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. And as Aryan Invasions are there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Either way, the theory is cool. that maybe it was one uniform culture spread across and they called itself Aryavrat, or people kept moving from one place to another and kept renaming their place according to what the name was earlier?
Yeah, I believe till now they are together. They have not yet separated.
What do you mean?
The Aryan group, those who belong to the European language family, they had separated. But what we call the Indian language family and the Iranian language family have not separated. And for those who do not subscribe to the theory, I would ask only one question. Then how are the languages of the Iranian people and the Indian people so similar?
Yeah, I'll tell you what the situation is. You are coming on with a very positive outlook, which is what I believe it should be. People have aggression towards the Aryan theory because of the British. Because the Aryan theory was used to divide South India and North India as Dravidians and Aryans. That's why there's a lot of aggression on the internet. And a lot of Hindus perceive the Aryan Invasion Theory as a sort of insult on themselves. But I don't think the Aryan theory you are talking about and the Aryan theory they're pissed off about is the same thing.
No.
They're two very different perspectives. You're saying that this entire spread of culture right from the subcontinent up till Central Asia has originated from a similar group of humans. The British theory says that, hey, there were Indians here and Aryans came in and beat y'all and y'all are inferior. That's why y'all had to go down south. That's what people get offended
that theory even I don't subscribe to.
Okay. Just clearing it out for the audiences.
Yeah.
Now, and that theory, the aggressive one, has been proven wrong by archaeologists. The reason I'm doing this is there's a lot of people who will just hear you say the word Aryan and get turned off from the show. Because they're that conditioned to hating that other theory. But you're talking about something completely different here.
Now, I'm not talking of the Aryan supremacy concept.
Yeah.
I'm talking of Aryan as just one group of people.
Yeah.
Historical group of people, no supremacy at all over here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a difference. I always believe that difference does not mean superior or inferior.
100%. Okay. I will let you continue now, sir, after just this little bit of information that I had to put on the show.
Yeah.
Now go on.
And another internal, what I call, archaeologists give external evidence. What I am talking about are internal evidences. And those internal evidences are, number one, the languages. Number two, the religion. Do you know that the names of divine beings, one example I'll give you, Mitra. Have you heard the divine being Mitra? Mitra is a very powerful Vedic divine being. So, Avesta has another divine being called Mitra. Like how mantra and mantra. Similarly, Mitra and Mitra are two divine beings. Now, how come these two groups have the same name of a divine being?
Okay.
So, these are internal evidences which show that there was some confluence much prior to when Britishers came along. And Britishers had their own agenda, own axe to grind, as they say.
Yeah, 100%. Which is why I request audiences to be very open and just absorb the information here. Now, I want to actually go back to that period post the deluge and post King Jamshed, sir. What happened after that? So, southward migration started happening, but the original group of Zoroastrians was still in Russia?
No.
Everyone migrated?
Everyone migrated. Gradually, because of the increasing cold and because of the more expanses that they were able to get as they managed to come down.
Okay. So they migrated towards like Uzbekistan, that area.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What was happening in Mesopotamia at that time? Like when we talk about this whole Mesopotamian civilization, was it actually Zoroastrianism or was it a whole separate cultural thought?
We are told just once in the passing that after Jamshid, the king that came from a place called Baura. In Avesta, the name is Baura, and scholars identify it as Babylon. So perhaps this foreign king attacked Iran, and one of the kings of this dynasty is a foreigner called Zahak, who is considered, of course, because Zoroastrians see him as evil only because he has usurped the kingdom. So this Zahak was from Baura, and scholars identify this word Baura as Babylon. So perhaps they were, when they southward, initially they did not have to contend with other people.
I think we'll have to give some context on what and where Babylon is. It's the capital of Mesopotamia?
Yeah.
Okay. Supposed to be one of the biggest ancient cities of the world, which eventually got destroyed in I think then that whole Old Testament phase was going on.
Yes,
in the
yes, around 2500 or 3000 BC.
Okay, that's when it got,
Not BC, sorry, years back.
it got destroyed at
Yeah.
that point. But before that, it was kind of a stronghold of the ancient world. So then the Babylonian king attacks the Zoroastrian capital,
Yes.
which is
At that time, it was regarded as Bactria.
which is modern day Iraq,
Yeah, Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Okay. So Zoroastrianism had come down till Afghanistan at that point.
Yes. So
Alright.
that was the expanse of ancient Iran, second period. First, as I told you, was very much north. Then second, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, parts of Russia, and even now parts of Iran, Pakistan, what we call Afghanistan, Pakistan, North India. And we have references, historical references, telling us that later dynasties did reach out to Hindustan also. In fact, you'll be surprised to know that in the Vedic Avestan books, this place was called Sindhu. But it's in the Avestan text, it is mentioned as Hindu. Because if you, as I told you, the two languages are very parallel. So wherever there is ha in Avesta, the parallel word in Sanskrit starts with sa. Have you heard about a home or soma?
Yeah.
Soma is a special twig from which a certain drink was made, a ritual preparation was made.
Somras.
Somras. We Zoroastrians have home ras.
Are you familiar with ayahuasca by any chance?
No.
It's a South American brew. So all ancient cultures have one brew that they consume for spiritual reasons.
Yes.
Does Homerus also have a spiritual?
Yes, very much.
Okay. I've had an ayahuasca experience in my life, which is a South American brew, and it was life-changing for me.
Okay.
At 22. It changed my whole life. I've made a whole podcast about it. But I want to ask you about Homerus.
Homa.
Soma. They're talking about the same thing.
Same thing.
What is said about it in Zoroastrian texts?
Yes, that it is life-giving, invigorating, and health-giving, keeping away death. All these adjectives are mentioned for Homer. And there is a divine being presiding over that plant also. And that divine being's name is also Homer.
Okay.
And even to this day, in certain rituals, this Homer twigs, which now is identified with the botanical name of ephedra, but dried twigs, small dried twigs of ephedra, which are not found in India, but they are found in dry places, like dry mountainous places like Afghanistan and Iran. They have been sourced from there. But even today, dried twigs of Homer are used for ritual purpose to prepare a ritual drink.
Where?
In fire temples.
Even today?
Even today.
Really? You know what you're saying right now is the quest for a lot of international podcasts as well, where Soma comes up. All they know about Homa is that it was used before going into battle. It was some sort of an invigorating drink. It had a spiritual purpose. And it's the first time I have seen any piece like this on the internet where you, as a Zoroastrian, are saying that in fire temples, it's still used till today.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
But small pieces, small twigs, and that also dry, not wet.
Okay.
It is then mixed with twigs of the pomegranate tree, well water, and goat's milk, and prepared into a libation.
Have you had it?
Yes.
What happens?
No, it's not. Doesn't give a kick anyway, or it's but you feel good after it. Means it's not anyway intoxicating in any way. People do have this idea that it is an intoxicant, but nowhere near it is, or perhaps the quantity that is being used to mix is very small, but it is not in any way a drug or anything.
Yeah. But do you
see, all priests, when they become priest, like we have a ritual called Navar. Navar is the first level of priesthood. And in that, they have to perform a ritual called the Yasna, which in Gujarati is called the Ijashni. And there are sort of rituals to be performed. One of the ritual is to have this Homer juice, like just one draft of it.
What happens if you have more?
You can't, because you do only prepare it in a small cupful.
Okay.
You have the priest himself prepares it.
Did you feel anything changed in you?
No, nothing.
Any spiritual incline?
No,
Okay.
nothing at all. But I feel when a person is performing a ritual of a high order, that itself is a very big invigorating experience spiritually.
Yeah.
And this Homa is said to be health giving. One of the characteristic is health giving, healing, life enhancing.
Yeah. You've got more than 2 or 3 podcasts in you, so that's what I want to say. It's very rare that my boys in the room with me are also like fully gripped in like a conversation. And in the last month, we got so many podcasts that we've rejected. And then when we get a guest like you, it's our blessing. Like, that there's so much stuff to unpack here. How have you learned all this? Like, you've done a PhD, I believe.
Yes.
Right?
See, I have studied in a priesthood gurukul, priesthood seminary. So right at the beginning, we were taught rudimentary about the religion. Then after passing my SSC, a first time this opportunity opened up, I also took this Avesta language as my school language. We
Really?
could take the third language, Sanskrit, French, Marathi or Avesta. Only in our school it was possible, the Dadar Parsi Youth Assembly at that time. So I took up Avesta in my SSC, was a topper in it. And then I continued studying the Avesta language. That is one of my good lucks, that I now know Avesta language quite well. And I also know the living tradition. Many people can study Avesta language. There are many Westerners who study Avesta language. Avesta language is open to all for study like any other language. There are many honored Western scholars of Avesta language. But my plus point is I was from the priestly tradition. I was from a living Zoroastrian tradition. And then having Avesta language, learned the Avesta language, I could coordinate and correlate, which is a very rare thing.
Has it changed you as a person over the years?
Totally changed me. It has totally changed me.
There's a lot of contentment and peace that you radiate as a person. Like, that's the first thing I noticed about you, that there's a bag full of contentment coming here. And honestly, very transparently so, I'm very envious of contentment, because it's something my whole generation misses out on because of social media. That's what I gauge about you. Am I correct in saying that? Has it given you a sense of contentment?
Yeah, it was hard to come by, but now that it has come by, it is something you never like to lose.
And that's an effect of Avesta, you feel?
Understanding Avesta in the proper manner. Unfortunately, Avesta was translated a lot in the past, but mostly by Western Christian scholars. So they translated everything from their viewpoint. Things like energy, consciousness, chakra, all these are anathema to Western scholars. They look down upon you if you in your translation bring down a word and say this translates as energy. They give the word for which I know now is for energy, divine energy. In the Avesta, you know how it was translated for hundreds of years as glory.
Which is chi or prana, same.
No, that is another thing. That is Ushtan.
Okay.
Prana, there is life breath energy. That is totally different. This is divine energy. The
Light.
energy which exudes, God exudes, you may say. The energy with which the entire creation is made up of.
What would be the Sanskrit equivalent? I'm just trying to...
Of
glory.
Of Kwarna. I don't know the exact Sanskrit word. I can't recollect it just now. But it's something which is unique to Zoroastrian religion and Avesta, I feel.
What is the word?
Kwarena or Kwarna.
Kwarna.
Kwarna or Kwarena.
Okay.
And surprisingly, this is the standing epithet of God. Nobody thought of that. Aura Mazda is the God for Zoroastrians. The word Aura Mazda means Lord of Life and Wisdom. Mazda means wisdom and Aura means life. But there are two words which are his standing epithets. Almost all great divine beings have standing epithets, adjectives which qualify them. And there are two words which are Raivato and Kharenangato. So Revato was generally loosely translated as luck or lucky, and Karanangato as glory. So whenever I or anybody would read the translation, the impact would be lost. Because, yeah, it is a bit elevating, but it is not something which I would want to invigorate me.
See, this is the power of ancient languages, because ancient languages are ancient. They've been around for a long time. That means that group of humans has understood the human body, mind, spirit much more deeply than modern day languages, which are limited by their words. For example, there's many terms even in Hindi or Urdu where if you try translating it into English, one word has to be translated using a sentence. Very simple example is mamta, the motherly feeling. That's a 3-word translation, or at least 2-word translation for one word. How do you explain glory? How do you explain lucky? So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that is true. And unfortunately, modern man has become very vain, He thinks that he is right. And he alone is right. And whatever those people said in the past were fools to say things, because they can't understand what they are saying. Yeah. So they say the texts are wrong.
At what point does the Saint Zoroaster come into the story?
So in this Kayan dynasty.
All right.
Now we enter the domain where Prophet Zarathustra will enter. So there are first 3-4 kings. Of course, we won't go into them. But in the reign of the 5th king or so, Prophet Zarathustra was sent to the earth, we are told, on the request of Mother Earth. You may have heard about the Gaia hypothesis.
You'll have to enlighten the podcast listeners.
The Gaia hypothesis is a scientific theory which says that Earth comes out with certain sounds, which are like happy sounds, sad sounds, but it comes out with certain cosmic sounds. And Gaia is a Greek word for the earth. Now, something exactly similar is said in the Avesta, that the soul of the earth lamented to God, Aura Mazda, that there is so much pain, suffering in the world that I need a savior. So please send me a savior. And we are told that God, with his divine beings, had a conference, and they decided to send the soul, which was already there in the divine world, of Prophet Zarathustra into the world, because God or the divine beings realized that a strong spiritual person is required. Now, when that message was sent to Mother Earth was not happy. She said, what will a saint or a prophet come and do? These vile people are very vile. Like I need a strong, powerful king, a prince who will come and help me out. So then there is a dialogue with God. And God says, no, a king or a prince can help you for only some part of time. You need a person who will be able to help you for a very long period by containing this evil, what we call fundamentally. And so then Mother Earth agreed and accepted. And after a lot of preparations on the material world, Prophet Zarathustra was sent to the physical world. The soul of Prophet Zarathustra came into the womb of his mother.
What was happening prior to this? Like, evil had increased on earth?
Yes.
Because in the Mahabharata, there's a shlok which says, Yada yada
hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasyam tadatmanam srajamyam.
It's a version of that.
Yes, exactly a version of that.
So I am assuming, okay, now for people who don't know what that just meant, I will actually let Sir enlighten you guys.
The Sanskrit one?
Yeah. What was the meaning of the mantra that you just said?
Yeah. Yada yada hi dharmasya. So whenever the religion, glanir bhavati bharata, means religion comes into pain or trouble. Abhyutthanam adharmasyam means a lot of adharma, evil spreads around. At that point of time, I will emerge. Tada atmanam srajamyam.
And this is not true just for Asian religions. This is true for the world in general.
Yes.
That if there's too much evil that arises in the world, the higher power sends himself or a piece of himself to earth in order to basically clean it up in the long term.
Exactly.
Okay. What's the story of, I want to get the pronunciation right,
Zarathustra.
Zarathustra. Okay.
In the Avestan language, he is called Zarathustra. But if you read an English book, he is called Zoroaster.
Yeah.
The reason of the difference is because the Greeks knew about him, the Greek writers, and they called him Zoroaster, which literally means a golden star, Zoroaster. So that's why English books refer to him as Zoroaster, and we refer to him in our language as Zarathustra. So there are many miracles. The book that I gave you, it is a full story of Prophet Zarathustra. There's so many miracles about his coming, even before his coming, what happened. And I would like to mention a few.
Sure.
Like as I missed out saying in the beginning, I was about to say, and then we digressed, that the definition of Zoroastrian religion has two words: Videva and Ahura Takesha. That is in bullet form the definition of a Mazdayasni Zoroastrian religion. Now, Videva, V means away from, against. Deva means anything that is negative. Generally, people ascribe the word Deva to be demons. Now, demons are part of Devas, means spiritual, evil divine beings. Danav. We call them Devas in our Avestan. And that is again on account of the schism. We may come again back to it. So, Zoroastrian religion's definition, the first word is Videva, and Deva, as you rightly pointed out, is one of the interpretations of the word Deva is Danav. And generally, but there is much more to that word than just a spiritual being. Like even a human being who has got devilish tendencies can be called the Danav. Even Zoroastrian religion goes one step further and says that anything that causes moral disorder is also, that thing also can be referred to as Danav.
Demonic.
Okay. Even the viruses and bacteria which cause disease and death can also be referred to as Danav. So the word Deva, I have interpreted it as any form of negativity, whether it's physical, metaphysical, emotional, spiritual. So that is Videva. And now you'll understand why evil. Many a times people ask me these questions, that why is Zoroastrian religion so much emphatic on evil? Why do you keep on talking about evil? So I said, till you don't recognize evil, till you don't become aware of evil, how will you be able to fight evil? So that's why Zoroastrian religion talks a lot about evil. In fact, one of the fundamental teachings of Zoroastrian religion is that there is good and evil in the world and you have to contend with that. So evil is a thing which is there in the world in many forms. You need to have wisdom to identify it.
Dharma and adharma. Same.
Yes, dharma and adharma. And it comes in many garbs. So you have to be wise to recognize. If it comes in the form of a temptation or something, you have to identify it. So that's why if you read any Zoroastrian text or scripture, there's a lot of mention about evil. But the reason is we are told to take care and identify it so that we don't are not tempted by it or do not fall into it.
What is said about sex and lust in general?
See, sex is one of the most beautiful things on earth. But because of the Victorian and the Christian tendencies, it has not been seen so positively in the Zoroastrian religion. And the moment you start speaking about sex also, eyebrows are raised. Like, I've not spoken to many people, but that's why we don't tend to talk about sex. But sex has been seen very positively in the Zoroastrian religion for one reason, that is because procreation is very necessary. Every child born is a soldier of God. So unless procreation happens, and for procreation, sex is necessary, good sex is necessary. In fact, there's a very beautiful story in our Pahlavi text that when Zarathustra's parents, because Zarathustra was born out of parents, Paurushaspa and Dogtobano. So like the evil being came in many forms, took many garbs to try and stop the birth of Zarathustra, because they knew, the evil ones in the world knew that once he comes, they have had it. So they tried a lot before his birth, at the time when before his conception, at the time when his mother was pregnant with him, after he was born, when he was an infant. They tried every trick in the trade, but were not successful. So this is a story about when his parents were cohabiting. The evil being came into their minds, thoughts, and told them, don't do this, it's a dirty thing. Don't do this, be shameful, be ashamed. Don't cohabit, it's a dirty thing. But the good divine beings came to them and said, no, this is not a dirty thing. This is a good thing. This is something which is necessary for the creation of life. So, and we are told that thrice the parents were like taken up by the evil's insinuations. That don't do thing, be ashamed, this is evil. So that's why I'm telling you this story is that in Zoroastrian religion, cohabitation, sex, and giving birth to a progeny is considered something very important. And second is Aura Takesha. Aura Takesha means following the teachings of positivity. So these two words in effect sums up the Zoroastrian religion. Shun negativity, follow positivity. And that's where we come to the life story of Prophet Zarathustra, that if positivity would come into the world, negativity would disappear. Why? Because according to Zoroastrian philosophy, evil and negativity does not have an existence of its own. It is parasitic in nature. It's a parasite. So the moment you don't allow it to feed on you, it won't have an existence. To give you an analogy, it's like darkness. So darkness does not have an existence of its own. The moment light comes, darkness goes away. You don't have to destroy darkness. You don't have to go and fight darkness. Just bring light. That's all. And darkness will go. So Zoroastrianism says somewhat similarly that bring about goodness, bring about positivity. Don't worry about always going on fighting negativity. Of course, you have to be aware of it. But don't think that you'll have to keep on fighting it. And that comes to another important thing, protection. You need to protect yourself against negativity, against evil, in thoughts, words, actions, deeds, against demonic forces. The moment you lose your protection, this thing can get you. And that's why also in demonic possessions in all the cultures, you will see that when there is demonic possession, you have let your hair down somehow, either literally or otherwise, you let your hair down. And that's why demonic things take possession of you. If you are aware, if you are well protected, it would have happened. But because you were doing something where your, defenses were down. And that's where, once again, mantra, positivity, goodness, a good life, these are the defenses which would keep evil away.
I think the way you explain that might sound esoteric to some people, but it could also be a literal example in terms of, let's take the example of a disease. You said that Daiva can also be a disease. You let your hair down, you don't take care of your body, the disease will come and hit you much harder. But if your immunity is high or your positivity is high, you can fight it off. So that one paragraph that you said actually means all these other things also.
Yes.
But we got to talk about demonic possessions also, sir, because this is the Ranveer show. What is this dark side of Zoroastrianism also? I would like to know. Would you like to go there first, or would you like to continue the story of the prophet? We could finish the story first and then come back.
Okay. We'll just finish this context.
Sure.
So throughout in the life of Prophet Zarathustra, we see that he was divinely protected. Like his parents were, of course, devout and they had their protection. But their protection was not enough. But because Zarathustra was sent for a mission, God specially saw to it that he specially protected him. And this goes on for all us humans. We can build our own protection, and then we are also protected by God, by the divine forces. We may not be aware of it. We may not even know about it, but that protection is there. So as I said, throughout the demonic forces tried to stop the birth of Prophet Zarathustra. till he was 9, 10 years old, they at least made a dozen or more attempts to try and bring an end to his life. But somehow they were never successful. And that's how Zarathustra had come to this world to bind the demonic forces, to bind the evil forces.
This is so parallel with the story of Krishna also, right? Like up till 9, 10 years of age, there's demons that attack. This seems
Yes.
like it's kind of a human play, happens regularly. Go on, sir.
So, at one place, very in an analogy, it is stated that after Zarathustra came about and got into his own element, the demons, the demonic forces hid underground. They were not able to face the forces of goodness, and that's why they got underground. But even in our prayers today, today we have prayers, and because even today these things do happen. There are people who are practicing sorcery, black magic, and in daily Zoroastrian prayer, what we call the Kasti prayer, every Zoroastrian wears a sadra and a Kasti, which is a sacred shirt and a sacred garment, and they reaffirm their belief in the religion several times in the day. And there they, in the prayers, they say, Areman, Devan, Dhrujan, Jaduvan, Darvandan, Kikan, Karafan. So if I translate, all sorts of negativities, including black magicians, sorcerers, witches. Now, if a young boy in a Western culture would read it, he says, oh, where do we get black magicians today? Where do we get sorcerers today? Where do we get witches today? But we'll be surprised. They are a reality even today. And in urban areas, we may not come across them a lot. But they are definitely a reality. And we should never let our protection down and take the protection. Every religion has given the protection. Like for the Hindus, the Hanuman Chalisa are there, which is a very potent protection against these demonic forces. Zoroastrian religion has it, and I'm sure that all other religion has it. So this, I always tell people that don't complain afterwards. Because we say precaution is better than cure. So right from the very beginning, we should start building our defenses against evil. Because in our Gujarati, there is a saying that people run to dig wells after the fire has started. In Gujarati, it said, "Aag lage pachi kuo khodwa jaye." So you cannot do that. So that's why these demonic forces you have to accept. Even in the present times, that the evil forces, the demonic forces are there. But your values, your virtues, your prayers, your rituals, your divine institutions, your mindset, all these are very, very powerful tools to fight against them. They are given to them. But if you don't use them, then unfortunately, as I said, you let down your defenses and evil will take on. So Zarathustra was born. There were attempts on his life. And there are interesting stories, like the child was put into a herd of cows, but a white cow came and protected Prophet Zarathustra. Then the prophet was put into a herd of, or a group of horses, and a horse protected him. Then the prophet as a child was put in a den of wolves, but some divine beings came and protected him. So the prophet as a child was thrown into fire, but the fire turned into flowers. So like that, there was very many such miraculous episodes in the life of the prophet. And his parents realized that this was a special child, because even when he was not born, his mother used to get dreams that demons are trying to rip open her womb. But every time the demons or even wild beasts would come to attack her, a divine being would come to her and shoo them away. And she would get up in the night scared and ask her husband that what is this happening? So the husband would say, don't worry, because our child is special, because the parents were let into this secret in a way. So then when the prophet was born, this is the most popular story, I think most people must be knowing it, that he was the only child in the world who smiled at birth. And this has been recorded by Greek sources also, in a way. So Prophet Zarathustra, when he was born, he smiled at birth, and everybody was surprised at how come he is smiling. So then we are told as an explanation in the text that he smiled because he knew the purpose of his life and his mission, even at the time of his birth. We mortals, we cry because we feel insecure at that time. We are not sure what is lying ahead of us. But Prophet Zarathustra, even at birth, was aware of it. And that's why when he was born, his whole village was bathed in divine light for 3 days and nights. So these are the stories which go with the birth of Prophet Zarathustra. Then he gradually grows up and start asking questions to his father. Questions especially about evil. That why is there so much evil in the world? If there is a God, why is he not stopping the evil?
What's the answer?
That will come at his revelation.
Okay.
Those answers will come at his revelation. I'll tell you that at that time.
Yeah.
So he keeps on asking this question. And his father also is not aware, though devout Mazdayasni. Mazdayasni means that person who was following that, you may call it a Sanatan Dharma in a way, but that religion before Zarathustra came about. So he says, I don't know, child, I'll send you to a teacher. Then he sends him to a teacher. Even the teacher doesn't know the answer, because this sort of philosophical answers, more or less even today Zoroastrians are more dealing with prayers and practices and rituals, not on philosophy so much. So even in those times, perhaps it was the same thing, but Zarathustra was keen to get the answers. And he kept on asking questions. He had no answers. And finally, he came to be about 18 years of age. And then he realized, out of his meditation, out of his prayers, that there is only one person or being who can give him all the answers. And that is Ahura Mazda himself and his archangels. So he seeks permission from his father that, can I go to a place where I can concentrate and get all my answers, because I can't get it from you all. And so his father allows him to go and go into his self in a secluded place and think about it. And that's why in Zoroastrian religion we are told that asking questions to God is an important aspect of learning religion. So it's because Zarathustra also got his religion by asking questions to Ahura Mazda.
How do you ask questions to God?
That is a very interesting aspect. When you are in your own meditation, when you are in your own mode of prayer, meditation is a way of praying. Like in Zoroastrian religion, if you go to say, people say there is no meditation. But whatever you pray is a meditation.
I'll tell you something I read once. Someone said, prayer is when you talk to God, meditation is when God talks to you.
Yeah, so generally our mind is chattering so much that we don't want to listen to God. We keep on talking to him. But the secret is, you talk to God, you ask questions, and then allow him to give you answers. Give that space, because that is where mantras or meditation comes in. You have to make your mind relaxed, because everything, whatever else you do, even while you are sleeping, your mind is not relaxed totally and perfectly. Only meditation allows that period where God can talk to you.
People call this intuition also. For example, at the end of a very deep meditation, if you've gone in with a single pointed question, should I get back with this girl? Or should I do this in my career? Should I take that next step? If you meditate over it for 1 hour, at the end of it, you get that answer. It's maybe just your gut feeling. Maybe your brain has just got a sense of calm to be able to come up with the right answer, the right next gut feeling. But it could very well be God just telling you, listen, child, that's the way.
You are very right, Ranveer, because we don't know the functioning of the mind. Our mind functions at so many levels. We don't know it. We are only aware of the conscious level. There is the subconscious level, there is the unconscious level, there is the superconscious level. And that superconscious level is where God talks to you. Unconscious level is where your own self is talking to you from the data you collected right since you were in the womb. So both ways it works. So whatever is intuition is either coming from up or down, within or without, it has truth in it.
Yeah. Okay. Go on, sir.
So Prophet Zarathustra goes to ask questions because he knows that is the only way. Then we are told that he spent 10 years in wilderness. Wilderness means not in civilization, not with a family. And he had several conferences with God and archangels. And after those conferences, he got the answer about why there is evil in the world. And that answer is the full creation story. The creation story of how everything, how the universe came about. So that was the truth which Zarathustra got after 10 years of meditation as a result of his conferences with God and archangels.
I'm assuming that you won't be able to say it in a few sentences. Am I right?
Yeah, because this whole cosmological thing is a long drawn thing, and it won't make sense if we just, I can tell you just in brief, but
You can give us a brief answer right now, because this is a whole other episode along with the demonology, angelology aspect of it. But what's the short answer here?
The short answer for this is that there was good and evil in the world. How it came about, we'll talk about later, but there is good and evil in the world. And the evil cannot stand good. So wherever evil says good, it attacks. Now there is no order in this, because only the good follows order. Evil is chaotic. So the only option left is, as I said, to seek your own power and to seek protection. But the reason why there is evil in the world is that the best soldier is always attacked. So many people say, how does why do bad things happen to good people? The classic question. Zoroastrianism has its own take on this question, that good people, according to Zoroastrian religion, are the first targets of evil people or evil forces, negative forces, whatever you call them. Why? Because they are the best soldiers of God. So in a battle, in an army, in a war, who is targeted? The best soldier is targeted first. So what you need there is not your weapon. Your weapons won't help you over there. What will help you is your defense system, your armor. So similar thing is with the world. So Zarathustra was told that God says that I will tell you how to seek that defense. But I have set in motion certain things, certain divine laws, and I don't interfere in them afterwards. So afterwards, whatever has happened, I have given you the wherewithal to fight it. I've given you, I've taught you how to strengthen yourself. But finally, it is up to you, whatever you do. And even if you are good, I may not be able to help you because your defenses also have to be created by you. I am very happy if you are good, because you become one of my soldiers. But then you are also open to the attack of evil. So you, by your prayers itself, create a armor, a protection for you. So the Zoroastrian answer for why is there evil in the world is, to put it briefly, that evil cannot stand goodness anywhere. But at the same time, it needs goodness to get that energy. So it will keep on searching for wherever there is goodness and attack it. It's up to us how not to let evil attack it. And this whole world is an exercise for that only.
Yeah, maybe if there was no evil, you wouldn't know that good is good. Maybe. Sorry, it's like one layer deep.
No, it's not. It is a fact. It's a fact. Because, in again Zoroastrian philosophy, we are told that good by itself cannot exist. Just like two poles are necessary for any energy to flow. So God does not test you in any way. Like God is not, we call God kind, merciful, forgiving. He's always there like a mother. Of course, he's a father also, but he's also like a mother. He's always there to take care of you. He's not there to punish you.
Okay. Let's continue the story of the prophets.
Yes. So Prophet Zarathustra then spends 10 years in the wilderness, gets his revelation, the message, And this being a unique message, he then sets out to teach the people of the world, who at that time just constituted Mazda Yasnis and Devi Yasnis. Means no other religion had come about. Because Prophet Zarathustra was a human being, not a god. He was born as a human. And secondly, because he got a revelation. That's why he is referred to as a prophet. A human being getting a revelation. So that's why we consider Zarathustra as the first prophet to reveal religion to the world. Now, what happens when you set out for spreading your message? Evil starts to attack you. So throughout we are told that Zarathustra tries his best to tell people that what is good, what is evil, identify it, but the evil doesn't let it happen. And so he is not getting his followers for decades. For 1 decade, not decades, for about 10 to 12 years. He has very few followers. And then Zarathustra was born in eastern Iran, where we generally today is Azerbaijan. So that is generally referred to as the birthplace of Prophet Zarathustra, Azerbaijan, or a city near it called Ray city. So from there, in his divine mission, Zarathustra is traveling eastwards, from west to east. So Azerbaijan is in west of Iran. He is going to Bactria. And as I told you before also, Bactria at that time was the capital of the kings.
Which is modern day Afghanistan, you were saying?
Yeah, Bactria.
Okay.
They called it Balkh at that time.
Okay.
So he reached Bactria, where the king was ruling, the Kayanian king by the name of Kai Vishtas. And he was impressed by him. He took him in his court. Prophet Zarathustra explained everything to him. He was convinced by his teachings. And he said that I will support you. First of all, myself and my family, we are Mazda Yasnis, but we agree and accept you as a prophet. Then a lot of things happen in the court. I don't think we will be going into all those details. There are enemies within the court also. Prophet Zarathustra is accused of being a black magician, is put into prison, again released by divine intervention. Then again he gives several proofs to the king to show his divine assignment. And finally, King Vishtas accepts him as the prophet. And then it becomes a sort of a state religion. And then Prophet Zarathustra spends the last few years of his life in a fire temple over there, along with the father of King Kai Vishtas, called King Kai Lorasp. And then the end of Zarathustra is also like debatable in a sense. So many people in the past read an allegorical story and they took it to be real. And they said that Prophet Zarathustra died because a Turanian, Iranians and Turanians were arch enemies in those ancient Iranian times.
Where is Turanian from?
Turan is east of Iran. Today we have China, Turkmenistan, Mongolia.
Gotcha.
All those areas were part of ancient Iran. Then ancient Iran was trifurcated. We did not go into the geography, but even in the Peshadarian dynasty itself, it was trifurcated, means divided into 3 parts. One was what we call Europe, now which is Europe. One which is Iran proper, and one which was China, Mongolia, Turkmenistan. So Iran and Turan were arch enemies. So in the life story of a prophet, we are told that a Turanian murders Prophet Zarathustra. Now, this was an allegorical story which people took very literally. Actually, Prophet Zarathustra was so strong spiritually that we are told that Satan himself, we have the term shaitan even in Zoroastrian religion, shaitan. But Satan himself could not approach or go near Prophet Zarathustra. His fortification was so strong and powerful. Neither his demons could approach him. So what actually happened is this Tur was also the term for the collective evils of the earth. That was called Tur also. And that collective evil of the world was stopped by Zarathustra because it was coming onto the earth. And Zarathustra was at that time 77 years of age. He knew that his mission had come to an end and he had to bring an end to the world. He has already put the demons underground. He had given prayers and rituals and ethics to the world to look after themselves. But what about the collected evil which had gathered up to then? See, that would also come onto the earth. So, as his last mission, he took on this tour, which means the collective evil. And in that process, his physical, mental, and spiritual components were merged into the different elements. But this tour was destroyed. So this sort of the thing that would come onto the earth, this collective evil, had been stopped by him as his last act of prophethood.
Which is also a way to say that he's still there on the earth today. Like he's mixed into the elements.
His physical form is mixed into the elements. His soul, which we call Urvan in Avesta, and his spirit, which we call the Fravashi, is existent and still guides people. Still guides people because a spirit, a soul, does not have a location. It does not have any location. It can be anywhere, anytime. So it can be there in heaven. It can be there in highest heaven. But whenever called upon, it is present there. So we believe that whenever there is this Navjot ritual, Navjot is the ritual of confirmation into Zoroastrian religion. A child's confirmation into the Zoroastrian religion is called Navjot. So we believe that the guardian spirit of Prophet Zarathustra is always present to bless the child and connect him to the religion formally. Because the very fact that he is born means that he is born into a Zoroastrian fold. But that confirmation process happens at the time of Navjot.
You've carried out many Navjots.
Yes.
And you feel something happening in that ceremony when it comes to the prophet as well?
Definitely. Definitely. We all feel a presence of a divine component in the ritual, which we have to then, as a priest, transfer into the child. That's why the person who performs the Navjot has to be really a person who has the caliber to identify. He has to be so ritually pure to identify that thing and then transmit it to the child. So when the Navjot is taking place, the priest actually blesses the child with this energy by putting his hand on the shoulders. You often see that the way of blessing is putting your hand on the shoulders. So by putting his hand on the shoulders, the priest transfers that spiritual continuity from the prophet to him, to the child.
There's so many mystical aspects of Zoroastrianism that I've learned through this episode, sir. There's so much that's happened in Parsi history in general also post this. I don't think we should be talking about it in this episode because it's sort of an intro to you on the channel. I think at this point we should stop the podcast, sir.
Sure.
Is there any aspect that I've missed out that you would like to mention? That I didn't ask you? And I know there's a whole topics that we've not covered, which is the philosophy aspect of it, the actual angelology, demonology of it, which I think we'll do in another episode.
Yeah, I think this was good for an introduction because hopefully if you are going to invite me again, if at all there are any lacunae or anything which has been missed out, we'll try to cover it in this. But the important thing that one has to remember is that Zoroastrian religion is today considered as one of the friendliest religion in the sense that we don't convert anybody. We don't believe in conversion. We believe in coexistence. Parsis are generally appreciated as humorous people who are willing to do good. Because in Zoroastrian religion, charity is not a virtue. It is a religious injunction. Why? Because any charity would drive away evil. So once again, we come into that good and evil aspect. That you do charity, somebody's hunger goes away. Somebody's anger goes away. Somebody's ignorance goes away. Somebody's disease goes away. You are fighting evil. So that's why Zoroastrians always like to live peacefully and coexist with the world, but at the same time, see to it that their identity is maintained because they have been able to maintain that identity for, as I said, close to now thousands of years, more than 8,000, 10,000 years. So we believe that it is up to us, on us, to see to it that an identity we hope to maintain for the future generations and millennia to come.
Yeah. And I think in the phase of the internet, this is the beauty of this kind of work and these kind of conversations, that you're capturing it on the internet forever, hopefully. What I will also say is all my Parsi friends are the reason my mental health has been in check over the years. Some of my closest friends in the world are Parsis, and there's always goodness in Parsi culture. So thank you, sir. Just it was an honor learning from you and relaying this information to the audiences. We are going to be doing more episodes with you. But for this one, because it was such a heavy episode, I had to cut it short a little bit. I hope we've done justice to the intro episode at least.
Thank you, Ranveer. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
As at the end of our greeting to anybody when we part is Yazdan Panabad.
Yazdan Panabad.
Which means may God keep on protecting you. Yazdan Panabad.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Looking forward to speaking to you again. That's
Sure.
all.
Thank you very much.
That was the episode with Ramiyar, sir. I am sure that all the regular listeners of TRS would have enjoyed this one. I feel we have a lot of Hindu listeners thanks to the huge number of Hindu episodes we've done. That's why this year I want to bring other perspectives as well. I feel knowledge is one of those things that gets enhanced when you learn a completely different perspective, even if it's against your own beliefs. In fact, when you learn something that's against your beliefs, it's better for your ability to learn, for your ability to unlearn, for your humility levels, and for your wisdom. Feel knowledge is just accumulating data. Wisdom is allowing that data and that knowledge to sit in your head and turn into something even better. So if you want to turn your knowledge into wisdom, learn things from a 360-degree perspective. This year is about inter-religious studies. This was one of our first episodes on a religion other than Hinduism, and we have a lot more coming your way. Keep supporting the Ranveer show and keep following us on Spotify. Every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Remember, make sure you download my meditation app, Level Supermind, as well, if you want to begin your own meditation journey. And whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate, whether you're an advanced practitioner, Level Supermind has you covered. Ramiyar sir, on the other hand, is going to be back for another epic special on Zoroastrian philosophy. So tell me what you thought of this episode. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Lots of love, guys.